Let's take a look at some DeFi charts here this fine Wednesday for BraveNewCoin. Let me first just say happy all-time high to the BTC Maxi holders such as myself. We've earned it. Little pat on the back. Secondly, ETH Maxis, it'll be coming soon. And thirdly, I'm shocked, surprised, in awe, frankly, of the DeFi strength this early. That's a very good sign for rotation season, whatever you want to think of it as. You know, I see all these tweets about all these things relative to alts, and it's just funny. The BTC people can't even celebrate their all-time high, their ETF, things we've been waiting for 10 years. It's been one day, and everyone's like, my bags are going to pump soon. But anyway, the DeFi strength looks incredible here in the face of all of that, because on trend metrics, this bullish TK recross above the cloud, specifically is what I'm talking about, is the most bullish sign in the cloud system. This will be the first, I think it'll be the first anyway, for the DeFi perp. Not a ton of data on this. It just got launched in 2020, but seeing this with this range, with this volume profile above the 200, above the cloud, you know, everything is very, very optimistic for where DeFi could be headed in the remainder of Q4. When Q1 hits, we're going to see, I think, a massive exodus on everything, most likely. I do not think DeFi will have a Q1 like it had in 2021. I don't think it'll outperform anything. I think you're going to see long-term cap gains, rotations out of it for tax reasons. I could be wrong, but now's the time to party. So it's great that it's lining up with all of this. So as we're seeing this massive capital inflow, this new money inflow into BTC for ETF reasons, even though it's a futures product, whatever, it doesn't matter. Rising tide raises all boats. We're going to see a wealth effect. We're going to see a rotation effect. And in a vacuum on trend metrics, this looks phenomenal for easily all-time highs on this metric. And you know, you can measure this out as a 2x from 15K on the index, which to anybody trading anything individually doesn't really matter unless you're trading the index, but it gives everything a 2x potential from here, basically, minimum. So trend-wise, this looks good. If this falls below the cloud, falls back below the volume profile, doesn't get support at this horizontal range, then it's a different story. You know, we're still in pre-breakout, as good as this looks. But we're on the tarmac. The jet is fueled. We're ready to get the go sign from ATC, and we're pulling out of the gate, right? That's what we're doing right now on almost every chart. I'll point out the ones that look worse, obviously, as we go through them, but RSI is not even overcooked yet. You know, things are just getting started in DeFi land for the most part, as far as I can see it. So this looks phenomenal. This is exactly where you'd want it to be, mid-October, which I think I mentioned a couple videos back. Maker, however, is one of these ones where it is on the thinnest of ice. It is on spring thaw ice right now, because if this breaks below support, this multi-month support, basically year-long support here, it's in trouble. You know, it's headed to 15. I don't think it can actually break down with the strength of everything else. But there is a zero-sum game here between Maker and Spell. I didn't pull up that chart, but there's a lot happening behind the scenes, I think, between the DAI discussion, the USDC stablecoin discussion. Is it decentralized? Whatever. If the Maker burns pick up, I talked about this, I think, last week in a video. If the Maker burns start to pick up again, this can also save itself. As it sits right here, right now, in a vacuum on this day, I don't like this chart at all. Now, this is not longable yet. Certainly needs to hold above 25. Definitely needs its bullish 5200 recross again, and it cannot break this horizontal. Cannot, or it is just curtains, diagonal, whatever it is. It is curtains for Maker on the USD pair. Comp USD, I think last week I mentioned this falling wedge, bull div slowly starting to play out. Both Comp, Maker, Aave, SNX, they all have regulatory legal stuff to pay attention to as well, not only just technicals, not only just fundamentals and on-chain stuff, but all the legal stuff. They are certainly benefiting from risk-on environments here. They're seeing an inflow of TVL, inflow of lending and borrowing. That's going to help the coin a little bit, but I think ultimately technicals lead the way here as far as what's possible with price. Just like Maker, this cannot keep making lower lows, right? That's not a bull market. That's not longable. That's not holdable. It's barely even worth incentivizing someone to send USDC to your lending and borrowing platform if the incentive is continuing to depreciate. You know, it just doesn't make sense, right? So this also needs a 5200 recross, and ultimately it needs to get back above 480 to even consider, for me to consider relonging this. It was just a giant tease for months and months and months, never broke out. So that is the level to watch on comp. Aave looks a little better than comp. It is going to probably crisscross its 5200 again, like it did in July. A mini Adam and Eve here, like it had in July. So we'll see what happens when it happens, but I'd be watching 400 for Aave. And again, you can measure this move out. It would probably be 1500 as far as a 2x from the top or close to that if this is able to pass all-time highs. I just think there's a lot of regulatory uncertainty about these lending and borrowing protocols, let alone the tokens, which fundamentally don't really do anything. Unless you're SNX, we actually need the token to mint the synths. This one also looks neutral to bearish to me. It is just flat down since June recovery. You know, it hasn't really done much, and it needs to get back above 14, 15. And the only way I think it gets there is if there's some regulatory blessing, or they pass some regulatory litmus test saying, yeah, it's okay to do what they're doing in the US. And let's say one of these gets hit with a regulatory something and the others don't. Obviously, there's going to be a massive rotation there as well. Whether or not you care about US regulations or not, you know, DeFi is going to solve all problems. I get it, but this is definitely a newsworthy event that moves price. Uni, on the other hand, looks phenomenal. Bullish Kumo breakout with this hunchback shoulder of an inverted head and shoulders breakout, peaking above volume resistance here. This looks really good to me. I longed Uni myself today, and anything above 31 in its go time, I like 2x easy for this, more so than everything else. So Uni is looking very strong. Sushi neutral, not as strong as Uni here just yet, but rising tide raises all boats. So I don't think Sushi's gonna underperform everything else. Like, you know, there'll be mini rotations when Uni starts to break out. Sushi's gonna start to break out, and then people are gonna start rotating around. You're gonna see tweets from all sorts of people about, you know, this is better than that thing. I get it. I think being largely exposed, if you're a believer in alts or these DeFi tokens, is a smart play, right? Because ultimately stuff like 1inch, right? Like I'll look at that in a second. I don't know why it's pumping today. I don't know why it's up 10% today. I don't know what news or event happened, but cool, you know. I couldn't have predicted that it would outperform Uni in the near term based on technicals, because Uni just looks better. Curve looks phenomenal to me as well. It's above the cloud, it's above the 50, it's above the 200, it's nearly above volume resistance, nearly at all-time high, effectively, minus the listing stuff. I like 6 to 7 on curve. There's really not much else to say. There's a tiny growing bear div, but that can easily be canceled out with any actual volume and candle to the upside. So that looks incredibly bullish to me. BAL neutral to bear, below the cloud, below the 200, needs to get back above 25. Lots of volume at this this level, this range. I didn't add the volume on the chart, but I should have. And it's probably a big volume push recently to get this VPVR right here at this level at 22, 21.85. Anything above 25 looks great to me for 50, honestly. I'm just looking at the cloud. I'm looking at the 200. These levels should connect once price is there. So there's a lot of confluence for resistance at that level. And there's a lot of confluence for the next resistance up at 25 based on a 50% retrace from all-time high to local low. This will also complete this W, double bottom, Adam and Eve, whatever you want to think of it as, if it can reach 32. So from there, 60 is a possibility. So there's a lot of targets to the upside if this thing can actually break 25. So I'd be watching that. BNT looks phenomenal to me as well. Much like Uni, this is above the cloud. It's above the 200. It's got this inverted head and shoulders quality to it. You often see bullish Kumo breakouts with chart patterns. Not as strong as this multi-month chart pattern that BNT had previously, but it still looks good to me for at least $6 would be the level. I'm just looking at the flat cloud here. And then beyond that, all-time high retest pretty easily. So the trend metrics are lining up here to tell you it's finally time to go long again. You know, that's ultimately what I'm looking at on this DeFi stuff, because we were bullish in early 2021. went neutral, went bearish, still stayed neutral in August, September. And now we are just finally, today, this week, back above to the 200, back above the cloud on some of this stuff. ZRX, garbly mess, I have no idea. It looks neutral, looks fine. And I don't know, I keep seeing these notches in volume at these levels on all these price charts. I don't know if there's some fund or somebody on Binance just buying right now, because that's what this could be. I'd have to check back, but lots of volume on a lot of these charts at current prices. So that's interesting. But based on trend, it's just neutral mess. I don't think this is going to outperform anything. It's going to probably do well. It'll probably go to $2 and figure itself out from there. But I don't think this is going to go crazy nuts. It's not going to outperform Uni. It's not going to outperform 1inch. It's probably not going to outperform anything, honestly. 1inch, like I already mentioned, massive day, up 10%. I don't know why. Adam and Eve here, inverted in shoulders here, above the 200, above the cloud. It's set for a bullish 5,200 cross, the first since it got listed. It's above volume resistance. It's above range resistance from February to May. It's checking all the boxes. It looks really good for bullish continuation. The next step here is to hold this 380 level. If it can even bounce around between 5 and 4, that's a win, because at that point you're establishing that new range. You're establishing support at 4, and beyond that I like easy all-time high retest at 6+. But this survived the pain train from May to September. It had this falling wedge breakup, it had this head and shoulders break down, and now it's riding the wave on this inverted head and shoulders breaking up along with all the trend metrics on its side. So it's finally ready, I think, for all-time high retest Q4. Melon continues to look great to me. Not as bullish as Uni or any of this other stuff that's pre-breakout, but it still looks fine. As long as it can hold 120, it looks great to me. That's the previous resistance. As long as it can hold this diagonal, it looks fine. As long as it can hold the 200-day moving average, as long as it can hold the VPVR levels, it looks fine. This is the Enzyme token where I trade for Techemy Capital. And I don't know if this is a TVL bot doing this, but if I look at the Enzyme TVL, I would bet that as TVL for Enzyme is picking up, you're seeing something buy the token. That'd be my guess. Just zooming way out, just because I'm curious myself. Looks like there was a TVL drop in September, but ever since then it's slowly been increasing. So I don't know. That's just a guess as far as what's going on here, but that's certainly part of the puzzle. And then Link, I am neutral on it. It doesn't look as bullish as everything else, but it is above the 200. It is above the 2-year MA or the 1-year MA multiplier. It's below the pitchfork. It needs to get back above 40 in order for me to be more confident this can hit 70 to 80. And then beyond that, it would be 120, 150. I don't know if this will outperform anything, but if you're holding it, I think you're fine type thing, where it's not going to fall off the table like Maker. Maker isn't going to go to 0 when everything else is 2xing plus. It's just going to underperform everything else, and that's just how it's going to be. Lastly, I'll just mention the ETHBTC fund and DeFi portfolio. I trade for Techemy Capital at Enzyme.Finance, a non-custodial portfolio management tool where you can send ETH or USDC, or just watch what I'm doing. You can see everything, including AUM performance, allocation, all the DeFi stuff we're in here across the board. And I'm continually rotating in and out of stuff, updating things. In the back end, I can see the yields on everything and where we're getting the best yields, where we're getting the rewards, where I can throw money at for better yields, that sort of thing, just to give anyone who's not completely aware of what Enzyme can do some information there. And then at the bottom, you can see all the trades that I'm making and when. You can see all the deposits and withdrawals as well going on in live real time. So that's all I have for this one. Like, dislike, comment, share, subscribe, and happy trading.